That's interesting.
Already. Thank you, guys.
No, don't worry. The meeting is always the pre-meeting and the post-meeting.
I know.
That's where all the little things are said, the things that matter.
So many people are joining.
Yeah, people will join. People will join.
Yes, I see that. Because I was telling Dr. Ango that I'm afraid I don't have a lot of followers that I hope people will join me.
You see what happens when we record, we'll still have it available.
Okay.
We'll still have it available on YouTube. People will certainly follow. That's the only way we spread the word, and you take it to other social media handles, and people watch on YouTube. They will get to following. We could do the recording, just a few of us who are here, but the impact will not be limited here.
Yeah.
I have videos I've recorded just with 1 or 2 people on the recording, and it ended up with 600, 700 views.
Wow.
So,
wow. Thank you, guys.
yeah.
Thank you. I'm seeing my people coming in.
Let's just
Kathy is also a poet and a writer.
okay.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Kathy,
Hi.
welcome to the fold, Kathy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, we're happy to have you amongst us. Yeah.
Okay.
We should kickstart in, say, 3 minutes. Let's just give 3 minutes time for others to join, and then we'll start.
Can I see my sister from Nigeria? Bola, thanks. Miss Tessa, thank you.
She joined before. I saw her. She joined before leaving. Mm-hmm.
All the way from Nigeria. Thank you.
Oh, wow.
And Kenneth Kineby, I think she's from the UK. Thank you, Kenneth. We were in the literature class together.
Oh.
Some 35 years ago.
Oh, that's my sister, Dr. Isona.
Okay.
Guys.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Dr. Isona, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Congratulations, Abby, on your book.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, Kenneth. Thanks for joining. He's from the UK. We were in the literature class together back in our high school days.
Okay.
Nice to see you, Abby. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hello, Kenneth. Welcome.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Losing my press. The camera they show. don't think your face is showing. I don't think it is. If your face is showing, that's it.
Oh, Dr. Wale is here too. I'm very okay.
All
Let's
right.
start without much ado about nothing. I just want to say a very big thank you. It means a great deal. It means the whole world to me that, you know, some of you with a short notice, some of you I've told a long time ago, and people who have believed in this dream, you know, Dr. Ango Fomuso, Professor Bilindi. It's beyond, I'm beyond, like, I can't find the words to describe how I feel right now. You know, it's a dream come true for me. Thank you guys for joining me. You know,
Okay.
I'm going to leave the floor to Professor Bill and Dr. Ango to handle.
All righty. I'll just take a few minutes of your time. I would like to start, first of all, by thanking everybody on the platform. I want to welcome you in the name of POWER, that is Pan-African Writers Association, whose secretary, Dr. Wale Okediran, is on this call with us, and he will be giving you a brief word of welcome after I speak. So, WAFORD, which is an offshoot of Pan-African Writers Association. I am the coordinator, and as the coordinator, there are a number of events that we plan to do to move our literary production, to place it, or to give our literary productions a place in the sun. And this is just one of them, and actually a maiden one at that, because one of the ways we plan to make sure our literature gets the attention they deserve is to publicize our authors, to make sure when they publish their books, they don't end in their drawers. People talk about, we launch the book, make it known to the public that this book deserves special attention. And there are many other activities that we put together to make sure our poets have their place. So before we will give the floor to the chief launcher, Dr. Ango, I would like Dr. Wale Okediran, the indefatigable Dr. Wale Okediran, to say a word about, you know, what we are doing, what he thinks this branch. He tirelessly, he said, no, we must have a diasporic branch. Would you manage it? When he came up with this idea, I was like, okay, let's have a go. We'll see how things pan out. I would like Dr. Wale Okediran to give us a word. Dr. Wale, you have the line.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, I'm speaking from Accra, Ghana. So it is late afternoon here. So I can say good afternoon to all of you. And congratulations to the brand new author. We are all eager to have a look at your new baby, because people have described the process of writing a book as going through a pregnancy. They believe that during the period of pregnancy, you are busy writing. And then when you put to bed, the book now comes out. So I want to say congratulations. We are happy that baby and the mother are in good condition as the medical balance goes. Well, congratulations again to Professor Indy. It's true that in our constitution, the constitution of the Pan-African Writers Association, we had a provision for the sixth arm of the association. The five arms represent the regions of Africa, Northeast, Southwest, and Central. And then the sixth was depicted for our members in diaspora. And for a long time, our members in diaspora had no shepherd. People were calling right, left, and center. And until the good fortune led us to Professor Indy. He calls me indefatigable. I don't know what I can call him. Maybe I should call him super indefatigable. Sometimes because of time differences between the US and Ghana, we sometimes wake each other up. Anytime he gets an idea, the phone will ring. And then my wife will say, yes, I'm sure that's Professor Indy. Maybe it's 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. And then say, oh, do you have a minute there? I say, yes, I have 10 minutes. Let's talk. And so when we were able to discover him, we were so happy to hand over the Herculean task of moderating and coordinating our writers in diaspora to him. And I'm so happy that this is taking place. I've been trying to share this announcement all over our platforms, even though there are so many activities happening today. I'm sure more of our members will join. And I'm happy that he said that this is just one of the various activities being lined up. We are looking forward to that day when our members in diaspora will host the Powers Congress, 54 African countries coming over to whether the US or South America, either Guyana or somewhere, and then we will be happy to meet our brothers and sisters in diaspora. So congratulations, Abby, and I wish you, this is just the beginning. We don't believe in one book authors. We believe in multiple books authors. Yeah. So we hope to come back next year for another book. Congratulations, and I wish you a nice outing today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I do appreciate that, sir. Thank you so very much.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Wale Okediran. Now, I am going to let the chief book launcher, Dr. Ango Fomuso Ekellem, take the floor. We have already been privy to meeting her when we had the Women's History Month panel. And they gave us a discussion. And she's going to shepherd the book launching for today. So, Dr. Ango Fomuso Ekellem, you have the floor. Sorry. You're muted, unmute.
Okay, perfect. Yes, sorry. I greet you all. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm quite excited for Abby too. Just reading literature to me is it's a passion. I don't know where it came from, but I'm really excited about this morning. First of all, I'll try to introduce Abby Kesington briefly. You know, we met at the WAFORD, a panel that we shared together, and then she sent me one of her books, and I just took about 2 to 3 hours to go through that piece. I couldn't put it down because there was something, it was as if there was a soul in that book. So I had to tell her, hey, this is really something. There are some poems there that speak to me so much. So, wow. So that's it. And before I will start going to Abby, I will just try to give you the structure of the book launch of today. We will be taking about 30 minutes for guided questions and answers with segments of inspiration, themes, and impacts on the book. And then another 10 minutes we will do we'll choose about 2 to 3 poems where Abby will read it aloud for us and just share. And then we'll take another 10 minutes to open the floor to the audience to ask any questions they want, and then we'll give it back to Dr. Ndi and Dr. Wale to summarize and close the whole launching event. And I must acknowledge that in the broader African space, poetry is mostly underestimated, yet it carries a subtle nuance of change. Messages are conveyed in a kind of layered way. And since they are short, if we really focus, we'll catch the memo. There's always something that message is saying, and it can bring a change of a whole country, a whole community, even personal changes. So this book launch is to capture the hearts of Africans in particular and encourage young and upcoming writers to dare to bring out their creativity. So that's it. And we'll start first of all with this segment. We'll just call Abby to tell us, what does finish line mean to you personally, Abby? Can you just...
Well, like I want to, formally just welcome everybody to the platform today, to the book launch. I'm very grateful that you've taken out time to join me today. The book, Finish Line, to me, is more than a collection of books. It's like you mentioned, you found your soul. So it's actually a piece of my soul that I put in that book. Like, it was like a piece of my soul was stitched, in the threads of the struggles I've had to go through, as an immigrant in this country. And, because back in Lagos, some 25 years ago, I used to be a journalist and, amplifying the voice of other people. But as time, went by, I lost my voice. I lost the person that I thought I was, and Finish Line became a process for me to reclaim that voice, to reclaim who I used to be, that fearless girl, that tigress I used to be called, and it became such an emotional journey filled with a lot of, courage to speak my truth, to reclaim, my story, to reclaim my voice, to find myself again as I ask those questions, those hard questions that nobody had answers to, that I didn't even have an answer to. But as I wrote them, it kind of validated what I thought, and that's what Finish Line, means to me. And I hope that for that person who is running up the hill alone, who thinks nobody sees him or her, who thinks of feels underappreciated, just know that this book will speak to you, speaks to that kind of struggle, of perseverance, resilience, tenacity, when all hope seemed lost, and as an African woman, to mature single person, woman, I also had to relearn and unlearn some things and remove that self-censorship I placed on myself as a person. And it was just a beautiful process. It took about 5 years in the making. Some of the poems are as old as 5 years, and some of them as recent as last year, just before we went into publishing. But it's more than a collection of book to me, or a collection of poems. It's a piece of my soul that I have put in every line and in every stanza, if you understand what I mean.
Yes.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Can you really tell us the defining moment that birthed this book for you?
Okay, for me, it was when I lost my job. I lost my job, and it felt like, so what's next? Where am I going to? I'm here with my kids alone. Where am I going to get how am I going to pay my mortgage? How am I going to pay my car note? And it wasn't because I was inadequate or I was not a good staff. It was just beyond my control. It was beyond anything I could do at that point to keep that job. And it took a whole 1 year for me to get another job. It took me another, 12 months to get another job. And initially I would cry and cry, and crying is not paying the bills. You better get out there and struggle, And as I got out there, I said, okay, I have this car, let me use this car to do Uber, go struggle out there. And I'll wake up early in the morning. And as I did that, I got inspired. I found my strength, and somebody introduced me to medical transportation. And as I picked these people, I became aware of my own situation, that there were people on hospice, people who were going for cancer treatment. And what was my own problem? I lost a job. Come on, girl. You can find yourself again. You can, and I found solace actually in the Bible also. And I started reading the Bible a lot. And there's this verse that stood out to me that says, Romans 8:28 says, for we know that all things work together for good to those who love God and are called according to his purpose. So I kept using that as a mantra, that, okay, whatever it is I'm going through, the loss of the job, it's all working together for my good. It's all bringing me together to this place. I don't know how this thing won't pass, but Lord, I need the grace, and gradually, as I develop myself, every time I come back from the streets, I get on my book. I had the time to write those poems, to write those emotions. As I, visited my therapist and became so anxious because I now had this full-blown anxiety problem with depression. And so I started seeing a therapist also, and she would ask me, Abby, what do you like to do? What do you like to do as a person? I said, well, back then, a long time ago, I used to be a journalist, but then, it wasn't paying my bills. I used to love to write, but I went into something else and I lost that gift God gave me. And she said, you know what? Every time you feel some kind of way, put it in paper. Every time you feel some kind of way, or you feel somebody's, feel marginalized, unseen, unappreciated, put it down. And I did all that. And gradually, initially, and you will see in the course of the poems, the very first set was about how difficult life really was initially, and then you get into life, the firm. So it became a process for me, to find myself. That was the point. I said, okay, what, losing my job is not the end of the world. And I wrote that poem called The Door. I don't know if any one of you had read that, but that poem was like, okay, I'm knocking at this door, open, but it's not opening. What do you do at that point? What do you do when you pray and it seems like your prayer isn't being answered? It's a process. You go through it. It's not the end. You don't, that's what I found. And that's what it is.
That exact poem 26, also caught my attention, and I had to post it even in the group because it was really that thing you always seek to find something and nothing comes. Anyway, we'll get there. So the next question, the finish line, that name, the title, is kind of peculiar. It feels like the beginning of something instead of finish line. So can you tell us how you came to the
that?
title of it?
Okay, okay. It's a metaphor for the journey I have been through, really. I used to be an athlete back in my high school days, and every time I ran the 100 meters, I saw in my hindsight, I would see the finish line. Like, okay, I just need to be there at some certain points, to beat the time. And that kind of was how I saw the world. I had to set a timer. I had to set the timer for myself. I had to be in a place at a certain time. Unbeknownst to me, I was limiting, I was setting myself up for some big disappointments in life. I wasn't, training my mind to prepare myself for those hard times when the journey is not a dash, when it's not 100 meters, but what my friends in the East African, a marathon. The life itself is a marathon, and that you need to learn the ups and the downs and to find strength within. that regardless of what the issue is, like I mentioned earlier, it's all working together for your good. Don't lose focus of where you're going to. There's a place. These other things, like the poem is such a, and because that poem was such, I just wrote it in a day where everything was a big distraction for me to achieve that goal. And I said, regardless of where it is, there's a finish line. There's a place to go to, and that's what birthed that poem. And it was actually selected in the color story for 2023 here in Houston, a collaboration between visual artists and literary artists like myself. And that poem was selected. And that's how I said, you know what? That means this poem also resonates with some people, that we shouldn't be fixated about the end sometimes. Enjoy the process, enjoy the journey, knowing that it's all working together for our good. Thank you, Dr. Ango.
Great. Okay, the themes and the processes. So in this book, we have like 4 sections. We have the life of anxiety, we have La Femme, we have section 3, potpourri, and then we have the travels. But I know there is always a first poem. There is always a poem. There's always something that sets the tone of a book like this one. What was the first poem that came to mind and that set the tone of this book?
Okay, the first poem that set the tone for it was I Come With a Baggage. I Come With a Baggage, like, come on. I have 2 kids. I'm dealing with some demons too. If you come and see this pretty thing, don't be deceived. So are you willing to accept? Are you willing to accept that I come with a baggage? I know that sometimes you don't want to be, you don't want to be rolled, into my walls like a burrito. A burrito is was the metaphor I use. We eat that a lot here in Texas, in Houston. And it's some kind of a food that we wrap in some flour pastry. And it just occurred to me that some people would want to be friends with you or want to be part of your life, or only when it's a success story. But I actually do come with a baggage, and that's what set the tone for this poem.
Wow. So which poem challenged you the most? Because you always write poems, but there are some that you will stick on them and you will not even know how to finish. So which one was the one that challenged you? You cried through it.
It will be, well, 2 of them actually. There's The Voice and The Heat. The Voice being the day I went to do the rendition for Finish Line, Color Story 2023 here in Houston. I had a massive panic attack on stage. I was reading the poem, everybody was clapping, following me through, but it was a wall in my mind with the imposter saying, oh, you don't deserve this thing. You don't deserve this place where you are. And I was reading the poem. I was, reading another poem, but in my head, something else was going on. So I had to put that. It's titled The Voice. I think it's the 3rd poem in the book, or 4th poem. It's called The Voice. It was quite a challenging one. And the best way I could describe it was like Zachariah. My voice was, my voice had been stolen, it was taken away. I had to find it again. It was buried in the haystack of anxiety. But nobody knew all I was going through. They were just seeing me. I was still able to talk and everything. But in my head, I was having a battle of a lifetime. So that was quite challenging for me to write. And then the other one, you find it in La Femme, is called The Heat. I had to write that one because I found it was difficult to find the words to write that poem without being what's the word, too racy, too lurid, or without losing the message I was trying to pass across, which was, at that point, I was frustrated, just frustrated that, life is happening, biology is happening to me, and there's nothing I could do about it, so, but to find the right words without losing the message was quite challenging for me. It's titled The Heat, and you find that in La Femme section, page 36 of the book.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Exactly. So, another thing, I found myself in visuals when reading your poems. I really could fit myself inside. But the question I want to ask you is, while you were writing, did you write in rhythms or did you also have visuals or performance in mind?
Oh my God, Dr. Ango, I'm a deeply, like, I visualize a lot, deeply. And that's what you see when you read my poems. It's as if I'm telling a story.
Mm.
It's quite narrative. I immerse myself because sometimes it's just a word that's inspired it or something I'm going through at that time. So it's so relatable when you read them, and it's heavily on imagery. I paint a lot. Some writers will leave it for you to imagine, but my poems are heavy on imagery so that you can visualize what it is I'm also trying to talk about. And we
Yes,
can
it
be on the
comes
same
through.
page when you read
Yeah.
them. Yeah, that's it.
It really comes through like a storytelling too
Yeah.
in some spots, yeah.
Yeah.
So who do you hope and wish that this book should reach?
Number one, anyone who's been told to dim their light. Anyone who's been told, oh, you talk too much. Your horn is too much. Anyone who's been told to just lower their standards to please society. Anyone who's been told you can't amass to anything. Anyone who's been told, let me see how you want to do it. Just know that this book is a representation of, if you believe it, you can do it. It's a representation of a symbol of freedom for anyone who is being self-censored, who is being censored by society, anyone who is being unappreciated. I use that word unappreciated because sometimes you have all these things give to the world, but nobody values it. Nobody even thinks about you. Nobody even appreciates what it is that you have to share in the first place. That's who I hope this book will minister to reach. And don't let anybody put a label on you. Own your story, own the trajectory of your life, be the author of what you want anybody to describe you as. Don't let the world set a limitation for you. You can be what and who you want to be. That's my own.
Thank you so much. So now, after all this, how has this book changed you as a person?
Oh my good God. Well, it's made me, and it's still work in progress. I won't say completely because I used to be, like I mentioned earlier, I believed that life was a super 100 meters dash. You set the goals, you achieve it, you meet it. But it's taught me to be patient in waiting. While I wait, there's a place of waiting. And what will give you peace while you wait is to understand the dynamics of patience. Because when you lack that, then you lose hope. Somebody says, oh, it's the hope that kills somebody. It's the hope that kills, the hope of waiting. No, there's a place of waiting. But the fuel that keeps waiting going on is called patience. And this book taught me you can be patient. You can learn it. It's an art. Learn to be patient. Wait on the Lord. It will happen. It will. Thank you.
A reinforcement of the wait culture, because that's the whole thing from Christianity all through.
Yeah.
We are taught to always wait. It's a difficult process, but we need this kind of encouragement. Yeah. So my last question before we get into the poems is, what next after this? What's the next thing?
It's write more. If I told you I've written like 30 or 40 more poems after this one, because it's made me bolder. It's made me, it's just that now my poems are more subtle. They're more like, I have a collection of vignettes, poems I write in the morning when the morning is still a virgin, when it hasn't been distorted by the noise of the world. When I come out and I take my walk, I have a collection of vignettes. I see a monarch butterfly and I'm inspired by that. Or I see the squirrel running up the tree. I'm inspired by that. So I write. and I keep writing.
Oh,
so that's what's next.
Thank you so much, Abby. Yeah, so that was a kind of introduction of Abby. So you know now why Abby wrote, where she's moving, where she's going to, and what she has achieved, and who she wishes to reach. So we're going to do some live reading. Abby, I picked like 6 titles. You will choose 3 out of them or 2, and then you briefly introduce, and then you read it out for us so we can enjoy with the passion you wrote. So actually, the very first one on my list was The Finish Line because it's just like the title.
Yeah.
So that was the first one I chose. And then the second one was The Door. That one really captured me a lot. So I even sent it in the forum. There is The Voice, number 11. There is The Heat, number 31. And then there is I Am the Gem, I think.
I am
That's
Gem.
30. Yes.
I am Gem, yeah.
So pick any 3 of them and introduce them, and then you read for us as your heart tells you, it leads you. So
okay, I'm going to read The Voice, and I kind of gave a prelude of what happened with The Voice. The Finish Line was selected for me as part of the poems. It was a big event here in Houston, and while I delivered that poem, it was a poetry and visual literary event. I went into some big panic mode while I was reading that poem. So I'm going to read this one quickly. Please oblige me. As the light shined on me, I heard my voice break through the audience. Like Zechariah in the Holy Book, I had lost my voice to doubt and disappointments, thinking nothing good could come out of my Jerusalem. But tonight, all things good came out to watch me. I found my voice. It had been trampled in the haystack of fear, lost in the baggage of anxiety. As I fought through life's many troubles, whose voice is that? I asked myself. Familiar yet strange. It didn't sound like mine. It was bold and captivating. Taken over by 10 heavenly bodies, I fell into a trance. The Spirit descended with a heavy dose of confidence, boosting my morale. I roared like a tigress. On the center stage, I spat words from the tongue of a ready writer. Didn't recognize my voice as it rang out loud. I basked in the adulation of a found voice. I shouted in elation. The crowd is enraptured by the display of grandeur, transfixed by my charm and candor, oblivious to the inner battle that's just been won. They kept still and heard me scream, "Look up for the strength when all seemed lost." As I looked up, left, and center, I watched the diverse faces stared in bewilderment. Tonight, heaven smiled on me as I shone like a bright star, pulled from the pit of obscurity. I climbed up the center stage of limelight. Then I heard the voice whispering, not mine this time, but an imposter. It fought hard to keep my voice down. Like a wheezing bug, it whispered unworthiness and tried to shake me off my trance. Not this time, I shouted back. My eyes rolled, not really seeing anyone but myself. I muffled the imposter's voice to the back of my throat. "You can't dull my shine tonight," I quipped. I shouted. I screamed. I heard my voice. With bold steps and calculated words, I expressed the most profound pain. a protracted battle fought with hopelessness on the field of doubt at a time when all hope seemed lost and no help from the horizon. I emancipated from the chains of captivity. I heard my voice clear and loud.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you so much.
So you see why I like this one, right? I really love that one.
Okay.
And the second one will be I Am Gem. I Am Gem is a poem I wrote when, when you come in as an immigrant in a new country, you are almost as good as the circle of friends you keep or the circle of people that you meet when you come, and you are limited to most of the information they themselves are limited to or privy to. So they don't do that here. Oh, they don't do this here. And somehow over time, you kind of lose your own shine and lose who you think you are. And I remember when I came, I had to take some menial jobs just to get before I got my papers intact, and I lost myself in those places. And not trying to say that or anybody's job is dirty, there's dignity in labor, please. But I lost who I was. This was a high-flying executive, coming here, starting all over, and I lost who I was. And that poem, this poem called I Am Gem, was born out of that. So I'm just going to read this quickly. It's on page 33. I'm a blend of ancient tales and modern views, a gem in the rough with colors that enthuse. I am fit for a crown. My brilliance shines anew, breaking barriers tall with hues so true. My authenticity I stand to uphold. In the face of ignorance, I am bold. They say my colors are too vibrant, too bright, diminish my worth, a futile fight. But I laugh at their ignorance and their narrow view. For my flaws and imperfections make me true. Hidden behind masks of cultural lies, they fear my truth and my radiant skies. But I embrace my flaws, my unique design. Each facet a story, a gem so fine. From life's ash pressure, I emerge strong, a radiant treasure where I belong. Not flawless, but dazzling in my dance, a gem of life's intricate circumstance. Crafted to gleam, to shine, to dazzle, I stand tall, despite the fray and the battle. A radiant gem in life's vast expanse, with flaws and all, I boldly prance. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Okay. Which other one now?
Yes, one more.
Okay, one more. That will be finish line. I love this one because
great.
I'm taking it because it's also the titular,
I think
of the books.
so.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It says, stop, look at the skyline and enjoy the sunshine. The clouds threaten to confine and the rain forms a coastline. Stop, look at the skyline. When life storms like a feline without anchor and a torn baseline, remember the sun still shines. Stop, look at the skyline. When friends go offline and there's no help from the bloodline, remember the sun still shines. Stop, look at the skyline. When worry makes you lose your hairline for fear of not meeting a deadline, remember the sun still shines. Stop, look at the skyline. When left at the battle line with no clue, no guidelines. Remember, the sun still shines. Stop, look up the skyline, and pray to see the fine lines, that it was all by design to bring you to the finish line.
Thank you so much, Abby. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, and that was empowering. So for the next 10 minutes, we will open the floor for 2 to 3 questions. So we'll just check in the chats. And yeah. So if you have your questions, just write them in the chat. We'll read them out and then Abby will answer for us. Just 2 to 3 questions, enough. Yeah. So I will just start. That was Kathy, Kathy Crawford. She said, "Can you share more about the artwork on the cover?" Oh, that is brilliant. I didn't see anything on that.
Okay, the hard work is from Professor Rakib Basharoon. I got the privilege to meet him, and because I used to be a curator, actually. I used to be in 2021, 2022, I was in the curating business, and you should see I have some great original artwork here. And he heard about me and he wanted me to help him sell the work. But it was quite, it came with a tag, you know, if you understand what I mean by pricey tag. And he was then he was living I think Houston for another state, and he was like, okay, you know what, Abby, since we can't sell this work, you know, I'm going to be coming to take that hard work. And I said, that's fine. But you know what? I'm publishing this book. May you, you know, just for me to have something to say, look, I had the opportunity and the privilege of having this hard work lived in my sitting room area for at least 2 years, you know, something to hold back that memory of this, because it's such a beautiful hard work. And it was like, fine, you know, without it was one of those privileges that, you know, I had opportunity, you know, to work on or work with people who just believed in my dreams and said, you know what, that's a great idea. It was even one of the first persons once the book came out that I sent a copy to say, see what we've done with your hard work. That with this one, everybody, it will go all over the world. People will see beyond the four corners of my walls. It will transcend, you know. So it was from Professor Rakib Basharoon. Thank you.
Wow. Yeah, the second. Oh, and Kathy says, a beautiful cover story connection. Thank you, Kathy. And then Dr. Benjamin Hart, is your use of grand design a reference about God and the Bible? I enjoyed your poetry.
Oh, yes, please. Oh, I am not ashamed of the gospel of Christ. I'm sorry for anybody who is upset, but it is power of God unto salvation. So I have been privileged to enjoy that mercy. And when I say design, grand design, I mean God, the creator of the whole universe. That's what I believe in. And I'm not shoving my religion on anybody's throat, but I acknowledge his power and his role in my life. And I believe the world itself is created in such grand designs that, you know, I cannot but give all the glory to him. You know, and you could find him in every line of my poems, anyways. Okay. Thank you.
Great. Anyway, so there is oh, your sister. Thanks for blessing me with the poem Will You?
Which of my sisters, Tosin?
Yes, it made me feel so safe to know that I wasn't the only person who was worried about being vulnerable. Yeah. So you will conclude by reading that poem also to your sister aloud. That's the honor. But I'll first of all go to the last question. The last question is from Olajide Ogunloye. An articulate as ever, Abby. This remains remarkable in every aspect. Can you tell this gathering the acknowledgement some of your poems in this book got from Professor Wole Soyinka's birthday collection?
Okay, well, the the anthology for Professor Wale Soyinka's collection was actually something, it was what introduced me to Dr. Bill in the first place. Somebody said, oh, Abby, I think you write well. You should, send in one of your poems, and that's how our this grand opportunity, how God rewarded me in my writing to meet Professor Bill. And I was part of that, so it's it was a full circle moment for me because Professor Wale Soyinka is such a great influence in my life as a writer. Back in my high school days, I had a great literature teacher that introduced me to him, as his work is quite technical, and sometimes a lot of literature students would run away from a Wole Soyinka poem. But I was introduced to Telephone Conversation, one of the poems he had written earlier in 1950 something thereabout, and that poem changed my life. And when I came into the United States, and I was also faced by the the racism and things like that, I said, oh, it's been such a, even though it's been 60 years between Telephone Conversation and my poem, things have really not changed per se. So basically, it was just a full cycle moment for me. Thank you. Any other questions?
Great. Yeah, so those were 3 questions, and I'm very grateful. Thank you so much. Before we give it over to the host, we still have about 5 minutes. And Abby, you've talked so much about your sister helping you to put things together. So this poem, Will You, on page 49, can you just read it out while we prepare? Then we'll just hand it over to Dr. Bill for the closing remarks.
Okay. My sister Tosin, she's an English teacher in high school back in Africa, in Nigeria, West Africa, and she edited this book. And without saying so much, it was such a great edit in terms of the grammar, in terms of errors. Like I couldn't even believe it. Like I was like, oh my God, So I'm gonna read this to appreciate her.
Oh, easy man.
What's that?
That's okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Will you? What if I choose to be vulnerable, to show you my heart, raw and palpable? What if I choose to be open and true, letting you in to see me anew? Will you cherish my vulnerability or throw my love back with hostility? Will you honor my needs and my name or trample them down, leaving me in shame? Will you still love me, faults and all, or will you let our love tumble and fall? Are you open to being a pillar of support or choose to remain in a self-centered point? I am willing to take a chance, an arena for our love to dance, putting a stride in our tango, giving this love a fair go, or tossing it up in the air like we were never there. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Abby, for doing this. And yeah, the link to the Amazon page we'll put it in the chat for everybody to see and copy. And it would be great if you do reviews for Abby. But I'll hand over to Dr. Bill again for closing remarks. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wow. This has been wonderful.
Yeah.
I just want to take a minute and let this presentation, this launch sink into me. I can even read from the comment. Dr. Achiri Ishmael says, I am impressed with the process of translating the personal to social, taking the imponderable of everyday life and converting it into shared experiences. This is something that strikes a chord because poetry is meant to strike a chord with the soul of the reader. And you have done that so lyrically, majestically. And I read I read most of the poems.
Because I was waiting for your questions, Dr. B.
Look, I didn't come to ask questions, but you dwelled on, what I have known you after listening to the panel discussion you had during the Women's History Month, right? I discerned you were a woman who would not lose an inch of her agency. You want to reclaim that agency. And I see that in a poem which you wrote called They Made a Promise, in which you actually portrayed the fragility of promises, emotional exploitation, the orbiting of false gravity, and then some kind of a revelation, like a prophetic epiphany. So it is something that your readers should, when they pick their copies, they should pay attention to, that you have not written just for the sake of writing.
Yeah.
It is a piece of writing that should speak to the readers, that should allow the readers go beyond. And as Dr. Ango mentioned in her opening introduction, I am just echoing, it is what I believe and what I think. A good poetry is poetry that has layers of meaning. If your poem is not loaded with layers of meaning, then it is not very good enough. Having said this, I would like to thank you, but I would equally like it to be on the record that from now going forward, WAFORD, that is Writers of African Origins in the Diaspora, will be coordinating book launches for its authors, and we have designated the coordinator of that book launch to be Dr. Ango Fomuso Ekellem. And
thank you.
Yes, having said that, I would defer to Dr. Wale Okediran to say a word or two in closing and about the coordination of book launches.
Well, thank you, Professor Indy. Thank you, Abby, and thank you, Dr. Ango, for expertly coordinating this book launch. The beauty of every literary outing is that you keep learning. Sometimes I like to attend events in camera, just hiding there like a fly on the wall to pick up some nuggets of wisdom. And Abby, without knowing it, has sort of reminded me of so many things that I didn't know that she was also an athlete. Well, she was a sprinter. I was a marathon runner. And so when she told me that she thinks that life is like a 100-meter dash, start, go, poop, and everything comes in place. As a long distance runner, I know that I depend more on stamina than speed. And I think this is exactly what writing is about. It's more of a job that needs more of stamina than speed, because just like you said, You go through a lot of obstacles, sometimes indecisions, sometimes gaps and delays, and persistence and perseverance and sweat are needed to complete your literary journey. So I've learned that again. And I think you are lucky with titles. You are able to get a title by yourself so fast. I think that's a gift. I'm not that lucky, even though I've published more than 15 books up to date. I would say that most of them, the titles came from my publishers, because I have this very bad habit of knowing how to write, but not knowing what title to give my works. So I'll finish the thing, and then sometimes I'll call one of the children, what do you think? And I keep going around and around until my publisher will call me and say, please, I think I got a title for you. So for you to be able to just, off the cuff, get yourself a beautiful title, I think that's a gift. And so many things that you said, I don't want to repeat them, but I really enjoyed the book launch. And I also like the maturity that has come with this book launch. Some of us don't attend some book launches physically again, because you get harassed. You have to pay something, you have to do something. People tell you, they announce your name on the microphone several times. But here, we are just being told to check the link on the Amazon, and then we'll pick it. But notwithstanding, I'm still looking forward to having a couple of hard copies of the book, at least for the Power Library. We'll talk with Professor Indy on this, how we can get some of them in our library here in Accra. And it's also possible, one of our outings, because we sometimes get short invitations. I just get a phone call from somewhere, maybe somewhere in South America or somewhere out of the blues. Oh, Dr. Wale, can you give us a poet, a lady who can do something? I mean, and then I started racking my brain. Now we are having areas where we can call for help. So we're going to get many of the people in WAFORD involved in power activities, and Professor Indy will be our contact. And I'm also very happy this gift of book launches that Professor Indy has just mentioned, to be coordinated by Dr. Ango Ekellem. And this is one of the things we are looking for in power. We need to expand, we need to expose, and we need to encourage each other, because out there, I know there are so many beautiful writers, so many beautiful authors who have manuscripts gathering dust in their wardrobes, in their drawers. And this is one of the things I also want to challenge, I want to throw again at WAFORD. For the last 14 years, I've been organizing a writers' residency in Nigeria, in my hometown. This last 14 years, we've been able to host more than 350 writers from 12 African countries. What we do is to give writers 4 weeks space, all expenses paid. They come in for 4 weeks, we take care of their board, feeding, and everything. And all we want them to do is to complete any ongoing work they are doing. And in return, we ask them to please help us to mentor some high school students in town. And this symbiotic relationship has been going on for 14 years. And unfortunately, we have a long waiting list, because due to the death of writers' residencies. So if WAFORD can think of this, we'll be very happy that it could be anywhere. It could be in your country of origin. It could be where you are situated. All we want is a place where we can send people to come, because we know for sure that many of our young writers are looking for this kind of facilities. And the beauty of it is that in these 14 years, our residency has been able to produce more than 100 award-winning, international award-winning authors, writers who completed their works in that residency and went on to win international awards. So I'm loading so many stuff on Professor Indy and his team. I know he's capable of doing that because he has promised me that anything I want, he will give me. On this note, I want to congratulate Abby again and look forward to more of these wonderful engagements. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Okediran. And before we close, let us remember we are in mourning of Gugi Wathiongo, and tomorrow we have a Zoom to celebrate his life. I just want to implore all those on the call to remember to join that event, because he was a pillar of African writing. He was a shoulder on which we stand. So we have to celebrate him so that what we do not pass for something that while we are alive, people talk about us. When we are gone, nobody talks about us. Our writings are footprints that we leave for posterity, for humanity to benefit from. And it has been a great opportunity that with this maiden book launch, we have put a footprint on the sands of destiny and humanity forever. Thank you, Abby.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Ango Fomuso Ekellem. And maybe before I run, I'm looking at the time. Maybe before I run, could Dr. Ango Ekellem, I just threw something at you. I should take a lesson from Abby's playbook, right? I'm not just going to throw it at you. It was an offer. Because if I just go, then you call me after. Why did you put me on the spot like that? Right? And now I don't want to do that kind of a thing. What do I tell the world? So I would like you to say a word or two about your nomination, your appointment.
Okay, I know. Thank you so much. Yeah, this is a passion. Me coming from a more technical background, most people do not even know that I have anything to do with writing or the passion I have for artwork and really just this whole background. So me coming in the whole time and really trying to function in there, most people always think in surprise, what is going on? This woman, who are you? Yeah, so this is like my first kind of relationship, not this technology you see me doing all around the place. So I am honored and I accept the nomination or appointment in good faith because I think, yes, I'm in good hands and I know Dr. Ndi, he encourages a lot. He is there also to support, and I think I have the best teachers, Dr. Wale, I am hoping. And yes, I'm honored. I'm really honored. And I hope all of you will sit together also to launch my book, because that's the whole thing with the hairdresser.
But Dr. Ango, look at this. If I told you all that I had anxiety that nobody was going to log in, nobody was going to, I was like, I don't know anybody that's going to come watch me, and I am super proud. You guys have done a great job, and we should just put this thing out there and let the universe do its thing.
I know. Great.
All righty. Thank you. I will certainly have this on YouTube and I'll share the link. If I share the link, please make sure you share the link to all the others who are on the call. I might not have their contact. Make sure they have the link. And if you're on the call and you have the link, please make sure you also pass on this wonderful book launch. So I would say you have a wonderful, wonderful day. It is lunchtime. Go grab yourself a cup of coffee, a sandwich. You have a blessed and wonderful day.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you all.
you.
Maria,
Yeah, thank you so
I see
much.
you do
Thank you
pay
for
my
joining.
mom. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kenneth, Brianna, for everybody. Mwah, 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 mwah. Oh, my mommy. I need to call you. Bye, thanks. Oh my God.
Great. Thank you so much. Have a
Thank
blessed
you.
day.
I'm so grateful. Gosh.